I am Precious Mzea Sakaleje. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. The headlines. Violence characterizes the council chairperson election nominations. Opposition NDC leader reported to the police for disrespecting President HH. The church calls for the depoliticization of the National Day of Prayer. And in international news, pupils in Sudan return to school amid political economic turmoil. And in sports, Zambia commits to hold an international motor rally. Details coming through after this commercial.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You've heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Prime plots filled with beautiful views are now available for sale in Palavana. They will have tarred roads, electricity, water, golf course, 24-hour security, and more. They are on title and you can view them. With a standard 20% initial deposit, you will already be on your way to owning land Kumayad. We have 40 by 25 meters going for 240,000 and our 50 by 42 going for 300,000. Both have flexible payment plans. They are located 28 kilometers from Crossroads Mall and 16 kilometers from New Kasama's Boom Gate along Leopards Hill Road.
For viewings, purchases, and inquiries, call the numbers on the screen.
And now the main news in detail. A consortium of civil society organizations has observed that gender-based violence is fast becoming a national crisis in Zambia, which requires a collective effort to combat. In order to curb the vice, anti-gender-based violence have since joined forces and created the Zambia GBV network that brings together professional women's rights organizations, civil society organization, advocates, traditional leaders, and civil leaders. They have since pledged to complement the government's efforts to curb gender-based violence in the country. Reading the statement on behalf of organizations, Young Women's Christian Association President Patricia Mubanga reminded the government to operationalize the anti-GBV fund as provided in the Anti-GBV Act. They have also emphasized the need for enhanced funding and the establishment of the Gender Equity and Equity Commission as enshrined in the law.
Gender-based violence is fast becoming a national crisis which requires a collective and multi-sectoral and sectional approach according to the Zambia Demographic Health Survey of 2018 that 40% of ever married women have experienced some form of violence from an intimate partner, with physical violence being the most common, reported by 37%, followed by emotional violence 31% and sexual violence with 15%. The traditional and social norms that socialize women to accept the tolerate physical violence and teach men that GBV is normal, that is, to beat a wife, and male domination that promotes unbalanced power relations are key drivers of violence against women in Zambia. That new forms of gender-based violence are emerging in Zambia, as evidenced by the recent abduction of the 13 young women. That there are a lot of unreported cases of GBV because of cultural barriers. We note and recognize the efforts by the New Dawn administration and the directive by the President, His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, on the full operationalization of the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Act that Cabinet should immediately constitute a high-level cross-sectoral committee to address the vice.
The Christian Churches Monitoring Group's CCMG has called on President Hakainde Hichilema to adopt a short listing and selection criteria that values independence and non-partnership, competence and integrity as he selects the commissioners at the Electoral Commission of Zambia. The electoral body has 3 senior positions vacant currently, being occupied by those acting which others have said is affecting the effective delivery of service at the Commission. Meanwhile, CCMG has asked government to amend the Electoral Commission of Zambia Act No. 25 of 2016 as amended in 2019 to include under Section 5 the listed recommendations in order to promote transparency and inclusivity in the appointment process at ECZ commissioners.
CCMG calls on President Hakainde Hichilema to proactively adopt the following procedures for following the vacant commissioner post, given that the current legal framework provides the President broad authority in the appointment of commissioners. 1. Shortlisting and selection criteria that values independence and non-partisanship, competence and integrity, with these criteria provided to stakeholders and the public. Open advertising of recruitment for commissioners to encourage diverse candidates and the provision for the public to nominate candidates. This is similar to practices in South Africa and Namibia. A shortlisting and selection process that involves key stakeholders and enhances transparency, including public interviews conducted by an independent body, similar to practices in South Africa and Namibia. Consideration of gender balance in appointments, reflecting the Constitution's commitment to gender equality.
A concerned citizen, Dennis Kayombo, has reported National Democratic Congress Party President Savoy Imboila to the police for what he terms as disrespecting the president and the people who voted for him to occupy the office. Mr. Kayombo says the statement issued on Ms. Imboila's Facebook page describing the occupant of State House as a lunatic is disrespectful to the presidency. He says the police should investigate further and bring the matter to its logical conclusion. Mr. Kayombo says if left unchecked, people will lose respect for the highest office, which he says is a recipe for anarchy. He has wondered where the opposition leader is gating the courage to call someone a lunatic without any medical proof, accusing Ms. Imboila of being paid to issue such statements.
Actually came as a concerned Zambian citizen to report a female by the name of Savoy Imboila. Yesterday, around 17:45 hours, as I was browsing on social media, I came across a posting which stated that if Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the president of Zambia, in State House, does not comment on the statement issued by the Electoral Commission of Zambia forcing the elections, then we have a lunatic in State House. I would like to inform the nation that it's not only an insult on the institution of the presidency, but it is also an insult on the 2.8 million Zambian people who voted for the president. Imagine, I feel offended as a Zambian citizen. How can I vote for a mad person? How can I vote for a lunatic? How can I vote for an imbecile? Zambians should not be hiding in the name of freedom of speech. Yeah. This freedom of speech has gone too far. Now, we are not going to allow and sit as Zambian and then watch somebody insulting the head of a state. This should not be left only to the security wings, but to all well-meaning Zambian. Even those people who did not vote for His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, have been insulted in this post. Now, why should we sit and fold our arms and watch as if everything is fine. I think this is a very good case on which the police should investigate, take the matter to the National Prosecution Authority, and make sure the investigation are concluded and the person is prosecuted. Section 69 of the Penal Code of the Laws of Zambia is very much clear. It's not.
Violence had characterized the nomination for the council chairperson elections in Mkushi, Mwense and Lusangaze district as United Party for National Development cadres attacked opposition Patriotic Front supporters. The Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ has prescribed Friday, 4th November 2022 as the date on which to hold by-elections for 3 council chairpersons and the 18-ward councillor by-elections. Thursday, 13th October, in Mkushi, UPND cadres stoned PF cadres in Mkushi during the filing of nominations for the Mkushi Council Chairperson elections. Elsewhere, Charles Mwelwa, the PF candidate for the Mwense Council Chairperson elections, told the Camnet News that he successfully failed but, however, expressed concern. Meanwhile, in the Lusangaze district, the opposition PF was equally attacked. Efforts to get the position of the governing UPND and the Zambia police on the matter proved futile by broadcast time.
Yes, I wish to state that I successfully filed in nominations, except that there were a bit of pockets of violence. It's a thing that is very, very, very unfortunate, especially in our rural setup, because when you look at in our rural areas, we are more or less like one family. But unfortunately, our actual member was attacked. The matter was since reported to police. Medical report was actually gotten. So I would like to appeal to our colleagues that we are one family. These positions we are actually fighting for are just there to, we are interested in saving the people. So I would also like to take this opportunity to appeal to the powers that be, the Inspector General of Police, to bring more police officers.
United Party for National Development 2021 parliamentary candidate Potfa Tembo says attaining universal education coverage requires concerted effort, especially in the private sector. Speaking when he handed over 60 desks valued at 50,000 kwacha at Lusaka's Chawama Secondary School Thursday, Mr. Tembo says government's agenda is to ensure that education of equality by ensuring the learning environment is conducive, starting from the seating arrangement. He says the desks donated were manufactured within Chawama constituency, making the donation homegrown for the development of the constituency. Meanwhile, Chawama Secondary School head teacher says the donated desks will help, especially that they have come at the examination period.
The introduction of free education has without a doubt increased learners' capacity, to which most schools are failing to fully accommodate. This is so because most government schools are said to have over-enrolled compared to the number of teachers and infrastructure at these facilities. Inadequate desks and classrooms are some of the major challenges schools are facing as they try to provide quality education. United Party for National Development candidate for Chawama constituency in the 2021 general election, Potfa Tembo, has since responded to the call by making a donation of 60 desks at Chawama Secondary School.
Ngati simupemba tizaganiza bonse biri bwino. So funika kupemba mwalemba kalata tikakalata bene anguro mafoni kochabe. We are not very important people. Mafoni kochabe kuno tilina vuto ya so tizakala pansi na chairman na chipani chose pamozi na kuona tizatanizana bwanji. We are not here to outdo each other. We are here to build our community. Time for development. Time for politics are long gone. Time for doing bitter politics are long gone. I stood as a candidate here. I was not successful. To show you that I'm not bitter, I have come here to donate desks. Because bitterness has never built any community. I want to encourage the office of the area councillor and of the ward development committee that we are available to work together to make sure that President Hakainde Hichilema free education policy is realized in Chawama constituency.
Chawama Secondary School head teacher Anastasia Mangala says the school has been divided into two, encompassing the primary and secondary level, which requires expansion, calling on the well-wishers to emulate Mr. Tembo and identify areas of need and donate to the school.
Classroom blocks are needed with specialized classrooms such as computer and science laboratories, home economics room, library and the school hall. This can be achieved if we hold hands with the corporate world and everyone in our community. It's been heard, and you, the members, have come to witness this good gesture, which has come at the right time when examinations are just around the corner. Guest of honor, the wish of our head of state is to see every child access education in a conducive atmosphere. On Teachers' Day this year, the President stressed that every pupil will be sitting on the desk by the end of the year 2023. Guest of honor, you have started walking his talk.
Meanwhile, the school's Parents and Teachers Association chairperson says the desks will help especially during examination time.
On behalf of the committee and my fellow parents and the learners, I stand here a very happy person. The reason being that government cannot supplement all its efforts in trying to realize the free education policy. I therefore, on behalf of the learners, the parents and the PTA committee, I say thank you for this gesture from our brother, our uncle, Mr. Potiphar Tembo. Going forward, I say, Mr. Potiphar Tembo, please continue supplementing government efforts, for it is not easy for the school to achieve the highest performance rate.
This wonderful kind gesture would have not come at a better time than this. As a school, we had a challenge on desks, but all cries did not fall on deaf ears. We are grateful to have such a caring government.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Zambia Information Communications Technology Authority ZICTA Acting Director General Pathel Piri has revealed that Zambia has in 2022 recorded an increase in cyber crimes, among which online harassment, fake news, mobile money fraud, online scams and cyberbullying, among others. Speaking during a stakeholders interaction on Cyber Awareness Month aimed at highlighting key cyber issues characterizing Zambia's cyberspace, Ms. Piri notes that stakeholders like the media play a key role in sensitizing citizens on how to deal with these cyber crimes. Meanwhile, speaking at the same event, Zambia Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga notes that the Zambia Police has made headway in bringing most perpetrators of these crimes to book, urging citizens to make formal reports of these crimes.
With more and more people using the internet and many financial systems having digitalized, the cyberspace is now regarded as another whole world with high crime risks, hence necessitating regulation. It is in this regard that the Cybersecurity and Cybercrimes Act No. 2 of 2021 was enacted into law to help in regulating this space. With the law being relatively new, many citizens are still facing various cybercrimes ranging from online sexual harassment, mobile money scams, online scams, and cyberbullying, among others, as few have knowledge on the correct reporting systems for such crimes. In line with this, Zambia Information Communications Technology Authority ZICTA Acting Director General Pathel Piri says the media, as well as other stakeholders like social media influencers and artists, need to educate citizens on how to deal with these crimes, noting that they have increased in 2022. She was speaking during a stakeholders interaction meeting on the Cyber Awareness Month.
It is for this reason that the authority, since January this year, undertook a countrywide cyber security sensitization program that has so far covered 7 out of the 10 provinces in Zambia. And our goal is to cover at least all the 10 provinces before the year ends. When we go into the provinces, we educate teachers, school children, members of the general public, persons with disabilities, and we do this through community radio programs, workshops, talks at the schools, and also talks in the market where we find quite a number of people. This is among some of the other initiatives that we do.
Meanwhile, ZICTA Manager for Consumer Protection Edgar Mulauzi has emphasized on the need for citizens to verify their SIM cards and make sure the SIM cards they are using are registered in their names to avoid being implicated in crimes.
We are experiencing a lot of scams, so the star 707 hash gives power now to the consumers. Once they receive a scam message, they are supposed to enter that number which has sent a scam message. So immediately that number is sent to the service provider. The service provider have to check in the background to ensure that actually, yes, indeed, that message sent, or that number sent a message to that number.
In adding the voice of the Zambia police spokesperson Reha Monga says the police service has made headways in bringing most perpetrators to book.
And I'm sure you have also seen how we have been scoring some successes. Remember, we had a case where we arrested some persons here in Osaka. We gave it to you. It's not something which is new. You remember very well where some people were trying to siphon money from various platforms, and also had a case working in collaboration with ZICTA, where in Choma, we also, Monze actually, Choma, where we arrested persons also who are trying to commit this crime. But what is very key, and I'm sure which ZICTA is getting right now, is to engage with the media.
Also present were social media influencers, musicians, as well as other stakeholders who further emphasized on the need to keep children safe online. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Zambia's Vice President Ntalina Lumango says cooperating partners should supplement government's effort in building early disaster warning systems, especially in areas that are flood-prone. Speaking during the commemoration of the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction in Lusaka, Mrs. Nalumango says government is increasing investment in early warning signs to avoid disasters. The Vice President says top on government's agenda is also to ensure that the most vulnerable are not affected by natural disasters. Zambia Disaster Risk Reduction Day was held under the theme Enhancing the Provision of Early Warning Information for Early Action.
In modern times, disasters such as floods, drought, fires, heat waves, even extreme cold seasons have been associated with climate change the world over. Closer to home, the country has had its share of such disasters, especially floods that are worsened by poor drainage and the need for social change. Today, Zambia has joined the rest of the world in celebrating the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, which falls on October 13 every year. According to the acting president, the day, which was first celebrated in 1989, demonstrates the resolve of the disaster risk reduction global community to strengthen the culture of risk awareness and disaster reduction.
It's no secret that disasters have a negative effect on the development of the country and can lead to impoverishment of people if not well managed or mitigated. When disasters occur, the vulnerable people are the ones who get affected the most.
She has also remembered the ugly effects of climate change in southern and eastern provinces through floods and drought during the 2021 to 2022 rainy season.
The office is coordinating a holistic approach to disaster risk reduction. However, the efforts of government alone are not enough. We need concerted efforts of government, the United Nations system, non-governmental organizations, donors, and other development partners to reduce disasters.
Meanwhile, Zambia Red Cross Secretary General appreciated government's effort in prioritizing disaster risk reduction initiatives.
The early warning system should incorporate indigenous knowledge to make it rich. Okay, again,
And the United Nations resident coordinator echoed its Secretary General's Antonio Guterres' sentiments on the recent floods in Pakistan.
Ever-rising greenhouse gas emissions are supercharging extreme weather events across the planet. He saw firsthand, and I think we all saw in the media, the devastation unleashed by the recent floods in Pakistan, where a third of the country was inundated and covered underwater.
The fire brigade also made several performances on disaster management. After all is said and done, what remains to be seen is whether these systems will help the local people in flood-prone areas of the country. Tito Kalama, Camnet News.
Apostles' Council of Churches President Evans Kapinga has tasked the church to use the National Day of Prayer, Fasting and Reconciliation, which is held on the 18th of October every year, to pray against problems the country has been facing in 2022, such as reports of sodomy. Speaking to Camnet News after a preparatory meeting of church mother bodies towards the day, Apostle Kapinga has further advised against politicizing the day, stating that this has been the case in the past, hence defeating the purpose of the day, as this has led to some politicians shunning attendance. He has further called for unity beyond this day, stating that messages of unity are preached year after year, urging the church to bring Zambians together beyond political divides. Zambia is set to hold the National Day of Prayer, Fasting and Reconciliation on Tuesday, 18th October 2022, with an aim of uniting and recommitting the country to God in reaffirmation of the country's stance as a Christian nation.
Various churches, politicians, and citizens are eagerly awaiting the commemoration of the National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance and Reconciliation, which is held on 18th October every year in Zambia, with the 2022 commemoration being only 4 days away. Church mother bodies met Thursday morning to hold a preparatory meeting for the commemoration and have given out a message to the country. Speaking to Camnet News after the meeting, Apostles' Council of Churches President Evans Kapinga says this is the chance for Zambia to pray against problems such as reports of sodomy that have been plaguing the country in 2022. The country also had a number of occurrences such as accidents and alleged abduction cases.
But what it is, as a church, we are going to stand and pray against such devices. Especially, we have a most contentious issue in our nation about the sexual homosexual. So that thing, we need to make sure that we pray against that spirit. Last time we attended a meeting at the government house where the vice president, who was by then acting president, declared that this is total war. The homosexuality is total war against the Christianity. So as Christians, we are going to stand and we are definitely going to pray against such devices. Now, if the people who are in authority, they tell us to do something, what do we expect? We need to take it up. So what I'm seeing right now with the current government is embracing the church to do its work, leaving the church to live independent.
The apostle asked that past trends where some politicians shunned away from the event on the basis of it being politicized are shameful, stating that this commemoration should make everyone, regardless of political affiliation, feel welcome.
So as a church, we don't take up the steps of the politician as they take it to be a political issue. This is not a political issue. According to the scriptures, if you read the scriptures, you find that the Bible says, if my people which are called by my name, Zambia is a Christian nation and we are called by the name of the Lord. So as Christians, we need to take up the law to show It is our duty as Christians even to bring the politicians together. And moreover, these politicians, they come from our churches. So our duty is to bring them together. Us as Christians, we totally declare and say Zambia is a Christian nation, and we will continue standing on that principle of a Christian nation. We say we do not start thinking about positions or denomination. We just say we are a kingdom of God. We are a body of Christ. Then we are going to overcome whatever that comes in the future.
In comparison to previous years, the 2021 commemoration was poorly attended, an incident that many attributed to the scrapping off of the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs as an independent ministry. Concerned stakeholders have expressed optimism that the 2022 commemoration will be well attended to include citizens from diverse sectors. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We continue with the rest of the news. The Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue, ZCID, is concerned with the constitution of the Kabushi and Kwacha parliamentary by-election. ZCID chairperson Haivi Hamdudu says this is creating a lot of pressure. He has since appealed to the Patriotic Front and the United Party for National Development to seek dialogue and sort out the situations.
ZCID, we are concerned about the current happenings over Kwacha and the Kabushi by-elections. I'm making an appeal to the contestants in the two by-elections, especially the UPND and PF, to put national interest first by considering dialogue as the best way to help in resolving the ongoing standoff. Further, the continued legal contestation is putting undue pressure on state institutions and risk creating a constitutional dilemma.
The Constitutional Court is scheduled to render judgment on Friday in a case where two concerned citizens have petitioned, each seeking an order of cancellation of the suspended by-elections in Kwacha and Kabushi constituencies and call for fresh nominations. The court, which is currently sitting in Ndola, said this Thursday morning after hearing submissions from both the applicants and the state. This is in a matter in which Green Party President Peter Sinkamba and governance activist Isaac Mwanza wants the court to compel ECZ to conduct fresh nominations and elections on 27th October in Kabushi and 2nd November in Kwacha. Meanwhile, the court has also set the 19th of October 2022 as date for judgment in a case in which UPND Kabushi candidate Bernard Kanengo wants the court to quash the decision of the High Court to suspend the by-elections in Kabushi and Kwacha, which were to take place on the 15th of September 2022.
All eyes are now on the judiciary to settle the Kwacha and Kabushi Post dispute. Thursday morning, the Constitutional Court, which is currently sitting in Ndola, told parties to return to court on Friday for judgment. This is in a petition in which Green Party President Peter Sinkamba and governance activist Isaac Mwanza have petitioned the Constitutional Court to order cancellation of the suspended by-elections and call for fresh nominations.
Argued our case strongly to defend the Constitution, and for now we just look forward to the ruling which will be delivered tomorrow at 11 hours. Then we can say more, because at the moment we don't know what the opinion of the court will be, what the decision of the court will be. But we think that we have defended the Constitution aggressively, and we hope we'll carry the day.
Currently, there are various cases before the courts of law in relation to the Kabushi and Kwacha by-elections, but this reported petition has been filed by Mr. Sinkamba and Mwanza, who say they are defenders of the Constitution and the move by the Commission is not in line with the Constitution. The duo, who filed their petition before the Electoral Commission of Zambia, issued a statement announcing the new date of the by-elections in the two respective constituencies, told the court that if the elections in the two constituencies are held after the 27th of October and the 2nd of November 2022, it will be unconstitutional, illegal, null and void, because it will be after the 90 days which has been prescribed by the law. The two have told the Constitutional Court that ECZ made an omission by failing to cancel the by-elections on the 15th of September 2022 after accepting resignation by candidates in the Kwacha and Kabushi by-elections. However, in a surprising turn of events, the two candidates who had earlier resigned rescinded on their earlier decision, leaving ECZ not to call for fresh nominations but set a new date for the by-elections in the two respective constituencies. We wait to see what the judgment of the court will be tomorrow. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A state witness has narrated before the Economic Financial Crimes Court how 23 trucks loaded with Mukula logs were intercepted at Chirundu border due to lack of appropriate documents to allow them for exportation. Holland Singogo, an acting district forestry officer, told Lusaka magistrate Irene Washimanga that on the 10th of August 2021, the Provincial Joint Operations Committee from Lusaka escorted trucks loaded with Mukula logs, which were later forfeited to the state because the exportation was illegal. He was testifying in a case in which former Director of the Forestry Department, Ignatius Makumba, and 6 others are accused of 2 counts of abuse of office and 39 counts of attempting to illegally export containers of Mukula logs.
Trial continued Thursday morning in the alleged corruption case where former government officials are accused of attempting to illegally export containers of Mukula logs in 2021. 3 witnesses testified this morning in the case, among them Holland Singongo, an acting district forest officer who gave an account of how 23 trucks loaded with Mukula logs escorted by the Provincial Joint Operations Committee from Lusaka were intercepted at Chirundo border on the 10th of August 2021 because they had no appropriate document to allow them to export. Giving evidence before the Lusaka's magistrate under the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court, the witness explained that the trucks needed to have an export permit, clearance certificate, among other documents, and none of that was produced. This is in a matter in which former Director of the Forestry Department, Ignatius Makuba, and 6 others are accused of 2 counts of abuse of office and 39 counts of attempting to illegally export containers of Mukula logs. Among those being tried jointly with Mr. Makuba is former Industrial Development Corporation Group Chief Executive Officer Mateo Kaluba, Zambia Army Chief of Operations Brigadier General Mulenga, and former Executive Director in the Office of the President's Special Division Neves Njovo, and a businessman, Axon Tembo. They are alleged to have regularized an attempted illegal export of 23 trucks in Chirundo border and 16 containers of the same Mukula logs through Katemamulilo border, which were being transported by Axon Tembo of SCK General Supply Limited for export to China, but were later intercepted. In his further testimony, Mr. Singongo told the court that the said Mukula logs, after being intercepted, were later forfeited to the state. Trial continues tomorrow. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
We take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We now get into our international item. It's back to school time in Sudan, but 9-year-old Zahra Hussein is doing chores at home. Like millions of Sudanese children, she had to leave school because her parents could not pay her school fees. She said in the first grade she was the third in class. The girl proudly tells AFP in her home in the village of Eid Mosa in the eastern state of Kassala. 2 years later, she even managed to climb to first place despite the difficult learning conditions with cracked walls, rectory tables, and often waterless toilets in her school. Here's a roundup of international news.
It is back to school time in Sudan for children, and there is a lot of joy amongst this girls-only primary school. but not everyone has made it back to school this time. Millions of Sudanese children are reported to have left school because their parents could not pay their school fees. The political and economic stagnation that followed the coup a year ago have only worsened the situation. The main reason behind dropping out of school is extreme poverty in rural areas. I would like to point out that providing school meals have contributed to their stability. The start of the school year amidst the current political turmoil in Sudan has ushered in some hopes. We hope that there will be no strikes, so we can continue to provide classes. Hopefully, it will be a good school year. In the Horn of African nation, 7 million children do not go to school, particularly in rural areas where they are made to work or married off early, according to NGO group Save the Children. Putting them to work is not good. For the future, there is nothing like education, but one is forced to put them to work to at least bring in daily food. But if we can afford education, we will always wish it for them. It's all about living conditions. If we let them all go to school, and if we have a big family, I won't be able to provide for the family. According to Save the Children, without action to get children back into school, poverty and inequality are likely to increase in Sudan. The desolate remains of the French Institute in Ouagadougou, vandalized during demonstrations against the coup in Burkina Faso. Staff and artists at the Institute have since been reacting to the destruction of the cultural complex. There is a lot missing because I have seen, for example, appliances that have been burnt. Outside you can see there are consoles they took and burnt them. There are instruments that they burnt as well. Smashed doors, broken windows, scattered computers and books. An unbelievably desolate scene for artists familiar with this place. This is a great loss for us Burkinabe artists with the French Institute in Bobo and Ouagadougou, because all our projects that were planned, that were supposed to take place at the French Institute, you can see that it will no longer be possible for the moment. Because with all the damage that has been done, it will take time for everything to be put in place so that we can continue. So this sets us back a bit. The French Institute is one of France's levers for the development of cooperation between network professionals, culture and education, as well as for the promotion of cultural and linguistic diversity. There are more Burkinabe working at the French Institute than Europeans. So for me, it is for Burkina Faso. It's for Burkina. So let's not confuse politics and culture. On October 1, French buildings, including the French embassy in Ouagadougou, were attacked by demonstrators who accused Paris of protecting Lieutenant Colonel Damiba, whose departure they demanded. 26 African countries voted in favor of the UN resolution rejecting Moscow's controversial referenda in 4 Ukrainian regions. The vote took place Wednesday as the UN General Assembly condemned what it called Russia's illegal annexations of Ukrainian territory after Moscow vetoed a similar text in the Security Council in late September. 19 African nations abstained. Mali, the Central African Republic, CAR, Ethiopia, the Republic of Congo, South Africa, Sudan, Uganda and Zimbabwe were among the African countries that abstained. Earlier this month, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba toured Africa in an effort to counter Russia's apparent hold on the continent. He was forced to cut his visit short after Moscow intensified its bombing of Ukraine.
We'll now get into sports news. The hosting of the 2022 Sarago International Rally has received a boost, with other sponsors coming on board to complement the successful hosting of the event. Among the new sponsors include Natural Valley, Big Tree and Pembe Milling. Among key highlights, Pembe Milling has contributed over 159,000 kwacha towards refurbishing the rally timing system. And speaking at the same event, Zambia Motorsports Association, Ngambu has expressed gratitude for the sponsorship. He says the refurbishing of the rally timing system will play a key role in hosting a credible tournament. The Zambia International Motor Rally, which is slated for the 21st to 23rd October in 2022 in Lusaka, will have local participants.
Preparations for the hosting of the Sarago International Motor Rally, which is slated for the 21st to the 23rd of October 2022 in Lusaka, have intensified. Thursday 13th October 2022, other sponsors came on board to complement the successful hosting of the race. Among the new sponsors include Natural Valley, Big Tree and Pembe Milling. The championship has attracted local and international contenders. Local partners are keen to ensure the successful hosting of the event.
They also provide a truck to be used by the organizers to transport various equipment and goods needed during the rally. This brings our total sponsorship to 238,300. We would like to wish ZMSA, all competitors, spectators, a successful and safe 2022 Sarago Zambia International.
So I would like to say thank you so much. This is a huge international rally. We have the FIA coming in a couple of days, which means it is not a rally that can be taken lightly. Neither is it a rally that Sarago Motors can handle on their own.
And speaking at the same press conference, Motorsports Association President Sam Chingambu has expressed gratitude for the sponsorship and assured to host a fair and credible contest.
Timing is so key to rally that it raises a lot of concern, and especially that is an international event. You have foreigners who are coming. Half of the time you end up with a situation where you as officials are accused of favoring your own if your timing devices are not accurate. And that's why we took it upon ourselves to find a sponsor who would help us repair these blocks. We spent about, again, which was funded, about 40,000 euros. FIA boats, they are very expensive, equipment.
The clerk of the course, Martin Mitala, gave an update on the forthcoming rally.
We have received a total number of 28 entries. That is 6 are foreign entries. These are coming from Kenya and 1 from Uganda. So these are taking part in the African Rally Championship. This rally, the Sarago Zambia International Rally, comprises of 2 championships. We have the African Rally Championship, which is popularly known as the ARC, and our local Zambia National Rally Championship, which is like the national rally. This determines who, it forms part of the whole championship.
Patrick Soko, Camnet Sport.
Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Violence characterizes the council chairperson election nominations. Opposition NDC leader reported to the police for disrespecting President HH. The church calls for the depoliticization of the National Day of Prayer. And in international news, pupils in Sudan return to school amid political economic turmoil. And in sports, Zambia commits to hold an international motor rally. Before we go, our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Jeremiah 29 verse 11, and it reads, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.